Hey guys, Bryson Taylor here. Welcome back to today's video. Today I wanted to give you a tour of my music studio that's technically set up in a storage building. But let's go in and let me show you around. Today I wanted to do something a little different. I didn't want to do something music or lesson or review related, but I thought it would be fun to give you a little tour of my studio. Now the studio has been in the works for quite a while. It just got finished, I want to say just a little over a year ago, so it's still pretty new. I've still got a lot of stuff that I'd like to do to it, but as of right now, November 2024, this is where we stand, the way it looks, you know, everything that's in here, but still some future plans to come, but let me take you around and show you around. So as you can see behind me, my desk is right over here, my computer, my speakers. In front of me, I obviously have my tripod with my camera, I have my lights set up, and I also have a monitor right here that I can see myself on. So if you see me looking like this, I'm looking at my monitor that's sitting on a table, so I can see myself when I'm recording, playing, or making a review or a lesson or whatever I'm doing. But behind me is the computer, my Rocket speakers. I have my audio interface right over here, I have my MIDI keyboard right here, my printer over here, and on the wall over here I have a couple guitars mounted, and I have my MTV sign right here. Put the music television sign over where the production side of it is I thought it was kind of cool when I put it up. But this is kind of where I spend, I'd say, about 65% of my time, when I'm doing videos or recording, because, I have some digital audio workspaces that I like to play in, so I can play my guitars on this side just as well as I can on the other side where the amps and everything else are. But when I record, it's usually from this view, or sometimes I'll take my camera that I'm looking at now and I'll put it right about here in front of my computer on this little lip of the desk and shoot this way, looking at myself. I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen the neon electric Strat over here on the wall, which I'll get to in a second. Glows behind me, and my lights behind me. But this, again, it's where I spend a lot of my time, just because I'm always trying to do a video or a lesson or something cool. Now this is the bigger half of my studio over here. This is where all my guitars are stored, my amps over here, my workbench right over here, the little playing area. I got a couple stools set up over here. A lot of the decorations are on this side of the room just because it's a little bit bigger. You can see the couch right here, and then there's a table right here that you can't see. I'll get to that in just a second. But again, this is the bigger half of my room where most of my stuff is stored. This is a side of the studio I don't think you guys get to see as much when you guys watch my videos, because I'm always on this side instead of this side. But I'm trying to divvy that up. I'd like to do some more stuff from over here to kind of utilize the room. I don't feel like I spend enough time over here, so I'm definitely trying to change that for sure. But another thing I wanted to make sure I had in my studio when I set it up was a workbench for all my instruments. I have not had a workbench in my last music room that I had set up at my old house, and it was not very easy to work on your instruments restringing. I had to sit on the floor and do it. It was kind of miserable, so I wanted to make sure when I put this studio together, I had a place to work on my instruments, do restringings, cleanups, adjustments, stuff like that. So I got a little pad set up over here. I got my little Stranger Things light. Again, I'm a big fan of that show. If you guys haven't watched that show, really cool show, go watch it. But I've got neon everywhere, but I wanted to make sure my workbench was set up so I could work on all my instruments. Now, along with this being my workbench and, adjustment area to work on all my instruments, it's kind of my storage area too. I've got all my cleaning supplies, for my instruments. I've got all my guitar straps, all my books and CDs and tapes and vinyls. In the bottom here, I've got extra guitar stands and all kinds of junk just stored in these drawers, but you got to have somewhere to put your stuff, so I wanted to make sure I had some storage room to put that stuff also. And right next to the workbench over here, I have a little 80s mural pretty much put together of old 80s photos from old 80s and 90s rock guitar magazines. I got those magazines from my dad a long time ago. He gave them to me, and I happened to find them a couple months ago, and what was left of them, I should say, all the pages were torn out from where he was a teenager and he went through them. But I decided to put a little mural together of some of the cool photos that were still there, like a little push pin board. It's got Nikki Sixx and Lita Ford and a lot of the old cool 80s bands, Motley Crue, Def Leppard on there. So I thought that was kind of cool when I set it up, and I've got it set up right over my guitars right here. So little tribute to some of the 80s and 90s legends of hair metal and rock and all that cool stuff. And over here also on the other side where the workbench is and the 80s mural, again, I've got my amps behind me, my live music sign. I've got this really cool Bon Jovi jacket. It was my dad's from back in the 80s. He was Bon Jovi's biggest fan back in the day. A lot of those cutouts were of Bon Jovi, so I had to kind of sift through those magazine parts to find, people that weren't Bon Jovi, but I like Bon Jovi. But this is his old 80s jean jacket, which is really, really cool. He went and seen Bon Jovi back in the day and wore that to the show. In the pocket of that jacket, he had the original ticket stub that he took with him too, which was kind of cool. So I decided to put on the wall as kind of a tribute to the old man and to Bon Jovi, because Bon Jovi's cool and so's that jacket. And as you can see down here, I've got a really cool guitar rug. My grandpa gave this to me out of his music room not too long ago, but the guitars are over here. I've got some over here as well, again under that little 80s pinup mural that I made. But got all my amps over here. Big Fender guy. I love Fender amps, Supers, Twins, Deluxes, whatever it may be. I love Fender amps. I think they're great. So I've kind of got amp wall over here next to the guitars over here. And right above the guitars over here on the amp wall where the Jovi jacket is, I put up a little pipe decor. It kind of matches the conduit in the building where the electric is ran, but you almost don't even notice it, but I use it as my cable rack, which I think is pretty cool. And right in the middle, I've got my super comfy couch that reclines. I knew when I was putting this place together, I'd want to have somewhere to kind of sit and relax, because stools aren't that comfortable, nor is an office chair. So I put a little writing area over here. If I'm ever working on like an acoustic track, I'll come over here and sit on the couch. And I have this really cool table that I bought. It was kind of an impulse buy, like most of the stuff I buy is, but this table's really cool. It actually lifts up and down, so you can use it as kind of like a utility table when you're writing something down. So really cool purchase there. I do dig this, and it goes really nice with the couch when you're trying to chill out. And right next to the couch is kind of my production setup. Again, my lights, my computer monitor that I was mentioning. I've got the camera in my hands right now, but I've got some other decor set up. I've got my Dayseeker poster. I'm a big Dayseeker fan. I got that at the show. That's actually signed, which is really cool. And here's a cool BC Rich ad that I framed. I actually pulled that out of one of those magazines that I mentioned that my dad gave me, but back in the day they used to put musical ads for guitars and mixtapes, drums, whatever, in all these magazines. So I saw it in there and I was like, if that was framed, that would make a really, really cool like poster ad. So I yanked it out of there and put it in a frame, and it looks really cool. And right next to that is the big electric Strat that you guys always see behind me on the wall when I'm recording. Really cool neon sign. I love that thing. It's super, super cool. And over here, I've got my Marshall mini fridge right next to my desk to keep all your beverages cold. And up here on the wall, I've got my super cool Fender clock with all my LEDs that go all the way around the building that we hung up. And now we're back over here where we normally are. I've got the camera back on my desk. I'm sitting in my office chair. You know, you can see the electric Strat behind me and my lights over here. But when I was putting this place together, I really wanted to create a nostalgic kind of feeling, very 80s. I love neon. I love the 80s, movies, TV, music. The 80s was just, I feel like I should have been alive in the 80s just because the 80s was so cool. But that's how I really wanted the studio to feel, you know, hence all the neon. I've got LEDs and neon everywhere in this place. I've got, you know, old vintage 80s ads and, you know, the MTV hair metal pinup board that I've got over there, but I really wanted it to feel like a bit of a time capsule, just a little bit when you walk in here. You know, it's like, oh wow, you know, neon, LEDs, MTV signs, you know, it's like it's taking me back. So that's kind of the vibe that I was going for when I really put this place together. And along with making this a very nostalgic feeling kind of 80s vibe, you know, in the studio, one of the other things that I wanted to make sure that was cool about the studio when you walked in here is when you come in here at night and you turn the main lights off and it's just neon and LEDs, it's really, really cool. It's like its whole, you know, its own vibe or whatever you want to call it. But it's super cool when you walk in here and it's just LEDs and neon. You know, the main lights aren't on, the blinds are down. It's just super, super cool. It's like walking into a club almost, you know, with the LEDs and neons everywhere. So that was another big part that I was trying to capture when I put this place together. And one thing that's really different, you know, about my studio versus a lot of other people's studios, again, I like to watch other people's studios. I like to see how people creatively, you know, customize their little nook, you know, in their house, and, you know, how they zhizh up their studios. But I love watching those videos too. But one thing that's different about mine is that it's its own building. You know, it's not connected to the house that I live in, so I have to walk outside to get to my studio. And as you've seen in the start of the video, I've got some chairs set out front. You know, us Southerners down here in the South like our front porch sitting when it's raining outside, so I had to put me some chairs out there. But it's definitely different having a studio that you have to go out of your house to go to. It's certainly a little different, but it's kind of cool because at the same time, you know, if I want to crank my deluxe or my super up over there to like 8 or 9 just because I can. You know, I'm not going to disturb anybody else. So it's kind of cool having a studio that's not attached to your house. But if you guys have any recommendations how I can make this place any cooler, let me know. I'm all ears. Put your recommendations down in the comments below. I'd love to see what you think of my studio or what I could do to make it cooler. I'm always looking for new ideas. Like I said, I've got a couple other ideas that I'm going to play around with for other stuff that I want to do. I've got a couple more neon signs I'd like to get up at some point, and just some other wall decor and some other cool stuff. But any ideas, drop them in the comments. But guys, that will conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for all the continued support. I hope you guys have a great day.